If you're over 60, this one simple thing you eat, often first thing in the morning or late at night, could be silently pushing you toward a stroke. No pain, no warning, just one moment you're enjoying a snack, and the next you're struggling to speak, to stand, or to recognize the people you love. As a brain doctor, I've seen it far too often. Older adults who take care of themselves, who eat clean, who even avoid sugar, but who unknowingly make one critical mistake involving fruit. Yes, fruit. The very thing we've been told our whole lives is good for you could actually be doing silent harm when eaten the wrong way, at the wrong time, or in the wrong form. Today, I'm going to show you 10 common fruit-related habits that can raise your stroke risk, interfere with your medications, and damage your brain's delicate blood vessels without you even realizing it. If you or someone you love cares about memory, balance, or independence, this video could save a life. So stay with me until the end, because the one fruit most Americans think is healthy may be the one doing the most harm. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. The hidden fruit that spikes blood sugar while you sleep. If you're over 60, there's one innocent-looking fruit you may be eating, especially in the evening, that could quietly raise your risk of stroke while you sleep. It doesn't taste dangerous. It doesn't come with a warning label. In fact, many people believe it's good for them. But for older adults, this one habit could be quietly laying the groundwork for a medical catastrophe. I'm talking about dried fruit. Yes, raisins, dried cranberries, dates, figs, even the so-called heart-healthy dried apricots. They seem harmless in those small little snack bags, but they're concentrated sugar bombs, stripped of water and fiber, and loaded with fructose that hits your bloodstream like a freight train. And the worst part? Most seniors eat them in the evening, believing they're making a smart, light choice. But the body after 60 processes sugar very differently than it did at 30 or 40. Here's what happens inside you, especially at night. As your digestive system slows down with age, the high sugar content from dried fruit lingers in your bloodstream longer. Your pancreas has to pump out more insulin to control it. The sugar rush spikes blood glucose, followed by a crash. And that combination of inflammation, overnight dehydration, and sugar-induced blood vessel stress can cause your arteries to stiffen. It can trigger blood pressure instability. And most dangerously of all, it can promote the formation of tiny clots in your bloodstream. Clots that can travel upward and block oxygen flow to the brain. That's how strokes happen. Let me tell you about Mrs. Clara Monroe, a 78-year-old retired piano teacher from Missouri who came into my clinic last winter. Sharp, independent, and always smiling, Clara believed she was doing everything right. She walked daily, took her medications faithfully, and avoided dessert. But every night before bed, she ate a small bowl of dried mixed fruit, just a handful, because she read somewhere it helped digestive regularity. One morning, Clara didn't wake up like usual. Her husband found her sitting in the recliner, confused and unable to move her right arm. Her speech was slurred. She had suffered a stroke during the night. After a hospital stay and a full workup, her labs revealed significant blood glucose variability, dehydration, and signs of microvascular clotting. No fall, no trauma, no warning. Just one small habit she never thought twice about. That image, Clara's hand trembling, trying to form a sentence, is burned into my memory. She looked at me and said, "I didn't know fruit could do this." That's the tragedy. Because the truth is, what's healthy for a 25-year-old runner can be dangerous for a 75-year-old heart patient. So if you're someone who enjoys dried fruit at night or keeps those healthy snack packs nearby, I urge you, reconsider the timing, the amount, and the type, especially before bed when your brain is preparing to repair and rest, not to fight off a sugar spike. And here's the chilling part. It's not just dried fruit. There's another healthy fruit habit millions of seniors do every morning that may be even worse. Let's talk about fruit juices and why they're not what you think. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Fruit juices, the deceptive healthy drink. For decades, we've been told fruit juice is a healthy choice. It's advertised with smiling faces, 100% natural labels, and phrases like heart smart or immune boosting. Many older adults start their mornings with a tall glass of orange juice, apple juice, or even a store-bought superfood smoothie, believing they're fueling their bodies with something good. But what if I told you that, for seniors, this habit might be quietly laying the groundwork for a stroke? It's not the fruit itself, it's the form. When you drink juice, you're consuming the sugar of 3, 4, even 5 pieces of fruit in a matter of seconds, stripped of the fiber that slows digestion and stabilizes blood sugar. For someone over 60, whose metabolism has slowed, whose insulin response is weaker, and whose blood vessels are more fragile, this sugar flood can disrupt delicate systems in dangerous ways. Here's what's happening inside your body when you drink fruit juice, especially first thing in the morning or on an empty stomach. The glucose surge forces your pancreas to release a sharp wave of insulin. This roller coaster leads to glycemic instability, inflammatory stress on blood vessels, and spikes in oxidative stress, the kind that damages the inner walls of arteries, making them more likely to form plaque or develop clots. And it's not just about sugar. Certain juices like orange and grape can also thin the blood slightly and, when paired with medications like statins or blood thinners, may contribute to dangerous clotting irregularities. A perfect storm for strokes. Let me tell you about Mr. Daniel Brooks, a 72-year-old retired railroad worker from Indiana. Daniel was a man of habit. Every morning for nearly 20 years, he drank a tall glass of orange juice with breakfast. No pulp, always cold. He told me he skipped soda, avoided alcohol, and never smoked. But over the years, Daniel began having episodes of lightheadedness, blurred vision, and once even collapsed in his kitchen. Tests revealed nothing alarming at first, until one morning he suffered a mini stroke, what we call a TIA, or transient ischemic attack. We dug deeper. His morning juice, combined with his blood pressure medication, was causing fluctuations in blood sugar and pressure, setting off vascular instability in his brain. His blood work also revealed elevated inflammatory markers and signs of early arterial stiffness. But what surprised Daniel most was this: his healthy morning drink was contributing to clot formation in narrowed blood vessels. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I thought I was doing the right thing." And that's exactly what makes this so dangerous. It feels right. It looks healthy. It's what we were told. But for older adults, it's not always about what's healthy. It's about what's safe for the body you have right now. If you're someone who drinks fruit juice every morning, take a closer look at the label. Notice the grams of sugar and how many actual fruits are in that bottle. Try replacing it with water, herbal tea, or even a whole piece of fruit paired with protein or fiber. You'll be nourishing your body in a way that's stable, balanced, and brain safe. But what about the fruit that isn't juiced? The kind you peel and eat whole? Well, there's one particular fresh fruit, America's favorite potassium booster, that may be far more dangerous than it seems when eaten at the wrong time. Let's talk about bananas before bed and the surprising stroke risks they carry. 3. Bananas before bed? Think twice. For most people, bananas are the ultimate comfort fruit. Soft, sweet, easy to digest. You might even think of them as nature's sleeping pill, a simple, healthy choice before bed. And it's true. Bananas are rich in potassium, magnesium, and vitamin B6, nutrients that help muscles relax and support heart health. But if you're over 60, especially if you have high blood pressure, take medication for your heart, or have any vascular concerns, this bedtime habit might be putting your brain in real danger. It's not that bananas are bad, it's the timing, the ripeness, and the underlying changes in your aging body that matter. You see, bananas, especially ripe ones, are high in natural sugars and also contain an amino acid called tyramine. Tyramine affects how blood vessels contract and dilate, particularly in the brain. In younger people, this may cause little to no issue. But in older adults, whose blood vessels are already stiffer, whose metabolism has slowed, and whose neurological resilience is more fragile, this compound can trigger sudden vasoconstriction, a narrowing of blood vessels in the brain. In some cases, it can raise intracranial pressure, leading to intense headaches, blurred vision, or even stroke-like symptoms. And the sugar content? That's no small thing either. One medium banana has around 14 grams of sugar. If you eat it before bed, while your body is winding down, digestion slows and glucose clearance is less efficient. That can lead to overnight blood sugar spikes, followed by a reactive crash, a cycle that increases cortisol, affects sleep quality, and puts stress on your blood vessels. For many older adults, this pattern, repeated night after night, can quietly set the stage for blood clots to form in vulnerable arteries. Let me share a story I won't forget. Mr. Ronald Green, 81, a retired firefighter from Pennsylvania, came into my office complaining of early morning dizziness and nausea. At first, we suspected medication side effects, but his symptoms didn't quite fit. He wasn't diabetic, didn't drink alcohol, and his heart function was stable. Then I asked him about his nightly routine, and he told me something that made everything click. Every night, he said, I eat a banana before bed. I've done that for 15 years. I thought it was helping my heart. But Ronald had recently started experiencing mini strokes, small, transient blockages that resolved within minutes but left him fatigued, disoriented, and scared. His brain scans showed microvascular ischemia, tiny areas of reduced blood flow likely caused by clot formation in narrowed vessels. And while it wasn't just the banana, it was the combination of the banana's sugar, tyramine, and his aging vascular system that tipped the balance. When we removed that nightly fruit, adjusted his routine, and balanced his blood sugar more effectively, the episode stopped. He looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, I thought I was doing the right thing. I didn't know a banana could do that. That's what breaks my heart. So many seniors do everything they can to stay healthy, but no one tells them how much their body has changed, how their brain reacts differently now, how even a harmless habit from their 50s can be dangerous in their 70s. So if you've been reaching for a banana at night, maybe as a snack or something to settle your stomach, I urge you to think again. Have it earlier in the day, pair it with a protein or healthy fat, and listen to your body. That fruit may be natural, but the risks, especially to your aging brain, are very real. Now, you might be wondering, if a simple banana can disrupt my brain this way, what about the fruits I take with my medications? That's where things get even more complicated and much more dangerous. because some fruits interact directly with prescription drugs, increasing your risk of stroke, bleeding, or worse. Let's talk about fruit and medication interactions and what you absolutely must know before your next dose. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Fruit and medication interactions, a dangerous overlap. Most people wouldn't think twice about pairing fruit with their daily pills. After all, fruit is natural. It's a symbol of health, vitality, and clean living, especially in American culture. But what if I told you that one small mistake, eating the wrong fruit while taking your medications, could quietly raise your risk of stroke, internal bleeding, or blood clots? As a brain doctor, I've witnessed firsthand how seemingly harmless fruits can dangerously interfere with life-saving medications, especially in older adults whose systems process drugs differently than they used to. The body over 60 metabolizes more slowly, the liver doesn't filter as efficiently, and the same pill that helped you 10 years ago might now behave unpredictably, especially when mixed with certain foods. Let me be clear, this isn't about fruit being bad. It's about how certain fruits contain compounds that either block or amplify the way your body breaks down medications. And the most notorious culprit? Grapefruit. Grapefruit, and to a lesser extent, Seville oranges and pomelos, contains a compound called furanocoumarin, which blocks the enzyme CYP3A4 in your liver. That enzyme's job is to safely break down many common medications, including blood pressure pills, statins, blood thinners, and anti-anxiety drugs. When CYP3A4 is blocked, your body absorbs more medication than it should, turning a standard dose into a potential overdose without you ever realizing it. This can lead to dangerously low blood pressure, excessive blood thinning, confusion, or worst of all, the silent formation of blood clots in narrowed vessels or bleeding that the brain cannot tolerate. Let me tell you about Mrs. Eleanor Hayes, a 76-year-old widow from Ohio who came to see me after suffering a sudden and unexpected episode of confusion and loss of balance. She had no history of stroke, no family history of neurological issues, and had always followed her doctor's advice to the letter. She took a statin for cholesterol, a low-dose blood thinner, and a mild anti-anxiety medication. The trigger wasn't her medications. It was the glass of fresh grapefruit juice she drank every morning, a habit she'd picked up from a health magazine. What she didn't know was that the grapefruit juice had been increasing the concentration of her medications in her bloodstream, quietly destabilizing her system. Over time, it had thinned her blood too much, weakened the blood vessel walls in her brain, and one morning, a small clot dislodged and blocked an artery in her brain, causing a mini stroke. She sat across from me in tears and whispered, "Doctor, I thought I was doing something healthy." That's the danger. Most seniors are never warned about these interactions. They're told to take their pills and eat their fruits, but no one explains that the two don't always go together. It's not just grapefruit either. Pomegranate can interact with certain blood pressure medications. Papaya and mango may affect blood sugar in unpredictable ways when paired with insulin or diabetic pills. And even certain fruit extracts in teas or supplements can amplify or reduce the potency of your prescriptions. If you're over 60 and on any kind of regular medication, especially for the heart, cholesterol, blood pressure, or anxiety, please, I urge you, read every label, ask your pharmacist, and never assume that natural means safe. Your brain, your heart, and your independence depend on it. And don't just think of this as a once in a while issue. Even occasional mixing, like a Sunday brunch with grapefruit or a fruit infused smoothie with your meds, can have cumulative effects, especially in an aging body. Now, if this worries you, it should. But there's another layer to this story that too few talk about. You might think eating fresh, whole fruits instead of juice or supplements would be safer. But how much fruit is too much? And could too much good fruit still cause harm? Let's explore what happens when seniors consume excessive fruit and how even healthy choices can overload your system in ways that quietly raise your risk of stroke. 5. Excessive fruit equal hidden sugar overload. We grow up believing that fruit is nature's perfect food, sweet, colorful, packed with vitamins, and undeniably healthy. And for the most part, that's true, in moderation. But there's a hard truth that most older adults are never told. Even healthy fruit, when eaten in excess, can become dangerous, especially for your brain. As a doctor specializing in brain health, I've seen this too many times. A senior trying to do everything right, skipping cookies, avoiding soda, but then unknowingly replacing those with 3, 4, even 5 servings of fruit a day. Smoothies for breakfast, a banana mid-morning, an apple after lunch, a bowl of grapes in the evening, and they wonder why their blood pressure is unstable, their memory is slipping, or why they feel dizzy or foggy every afternoon. Here's the biological truth. Fruit contains fructose, a natural sugar that in small amounts is beneficial, but in larger quantities, especially in aging bodies, becomes a serious threat. As we age, the liver becomes less efficient at processing excess fructose. It gets converted into fat more easily. It raises triglyceride levels, stiffens the arteries, and contributes to insulin resistance, all of which increase the risk of atherosclerosis, the silent narrowing of arteries that can trap or create blood clots on their way to the brain. And what does that lead to? Stroke. This isn't theoretical. Let me tell you about Mr. Leonard Jennings, 79, a retired high school principal from Iowa. He walked into my clinic with mild confusion, short-term memory loss, and episodes of blurred vision. His family was concerned about early dementia, but what I uncovered told a different story. Leonard wasn't eating junk food. He avoided processed snacks, but he proudly told me he ate fruit all day long, strawberries in his oatmeal, apples mid-morning, watermelon for lunch, a banana before bed, and his favorite, a nightly fruit salad with honey. I tallied it up. Leonard was consuming nearly 90 grams of sugar per day, just from fruit. That's more than twice the recommended daily limit for older men. His blood work showed elevated triglycerides, early signs of fatty liver, and most concerning of all, signs of microvascular damage, a warning that the small vessels in his brain were under stress. When we ran his imaging, there were early white matter changes, the kind we see before a stroke or significant cognitive decline. Leonard was stunned. "But it's fruit," he said, confused and embarrassed. "I thought I was doing better than most." And he was, in terms of effort. But the truth is, no one had told him that too much fruit, even the natural kind, can overload the brain, the liver, and the cardiovascular system in older adults. He wasn't diabetic, but his post-meal blood sugar levels were erratic, his blood vessels inflamed, and yes, his brain was at increased risk of stroke from a clot formed in narrowed arteries. We created a new plan for Leonard, scaling his fruit intake to just 1 to 2 servings per day, always paired with healthy fats or protein to slow absorption. Within weeks, his energy improved, his mental clarity returned, and most importantly, his labs began to stabilize. So please, if you're over 60 and you've been treating fruit like a guilt-free snack, reconsider the portion and timing. Your brain doesn't need 5 servings of sweet fruit. It needs balance. A handful of berries, half an apple, not a buffet. And be especially cautious with high fructose fruits like grapes, watermelon, pineapple, mango, and ripe bananas. These may spike your blood sugar faster than your aging body can handle, silently raising your stroke risk one bite at a time. But fruit isn't just hiding in plain sight, it's also being blended, bottled, and sold back to us in ways that seem healthy, but are far from it. Let's talk about smoothie mistakes and how your favorite brain booster drink may be doing far more harm than good. 6. Smoothie mistakes that harm the brain. In today's health conscious world, few things sound more virtuous than starting the day with a smoothie. It's colorful, it's convenient, and it's marketed as a brain boosting, heart healthy way to pack in your fruits, vitamins, and energy. But here's the problem that no one is telling America's seniors. What's inside that smoothie may be doing far more harm than good to your aging brain, and in some cases may quietly increase your risk of stroke. I want to speak plainly. If you're over 60, your body metabolizes sugars, carbohydrates, and even healthy nutrients very differently than it did in your 30s or 40s. Your insulin response is weaker, your vascular system is more fragile, and your liver can no longer buffer sudden spikes in sugar without consequences. That's why so many older adults feel foggy, fatigued, or dizzy after drinking what they thought was a clean breakfast smoothie. Here's what happens inside your body. When you blend multiple servings of fruit, bananas, mango, pineapple, maybe add in some honey or sweetened yogurt, what you create is a high glycemic drink that rushes sugar directly into your bloodstream. But you've removed the natural fiber, the very thing that slows down absorption and protects your arteries. And without that fiber, your blood sugar spikes hard and fast. Your pancreas kicks in, insulin floods the body, and then blood sugar crashes. This roller coaster causes inflammation in the lining of blood vessels, and over time, it contributes to atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of arteries that can form clots and lead to stroke. I remember one patient vividly, Mrs. Dolores Chapman, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Oregon. She was health-savvy, sharp, and disciplined. Every morning, she made a smoothie with banana, frozen berries, a splash of orange juice, a scoop of protein powder, and a spoonful of almond butter. She believed it was a brain-friendly breakfast thing, and who could blame her? Everything she added had been labeled as smart or anti-aging. But she began experiencing short bursts of lightheadedness, difficulty concentrating, and one frightening morning, she lost her balance and fell while walking to the kitchen. Tests revealed early vascular damage in the brain, and her fasting glucose levels were unstable, despite not being diabetic. Her carotid ultrasound showed plaque buildup, and most concerning, her MRI revealed white matter changes consistent with chronic microvascular stress, the kind that puts people at risk for clot formation and future strokes. It wasn't just her age, it wasn't genetics. It was the smoothie, or rather, the way her body, at 74, was responding to the sugar overload she drank first thing every morning, thinking it was helping her stay sharp. When we adjusted her routine, added whole foods, removed excess fruit, and restructured her breakfast around steady blood sugar-friendly options, her symptoms improved, her balance returned, and her labs showed real progress. Dolores told me, "I thought I was feeding my brain. I didn't know I was overfeeding it." That's the message I need every older adult to hear. Just because it's blended doesn't mean it's safe, and just because it looks healthy doesn't mean your body, now in its 7th or 8th decade, can process it without consequences. If you drink smoothies, keep it simple. Use mostly vegetables like spinach or kale. Add healthy fats like avocado or chia, a small handful of berries. And always avoid juice, honey, or sweetened yogurts. You want to nourish your brain, not flood it. Because the truth is, even healthy intentions, if uninformed, can quietly build toward crisis. And if this surprises you, wait until you hear what happens when that seemingly innocent snack you reach for at night, like a small bowl of grapes or juicy slices of watermelon, does something far worse while you sleep. Let's talk about the nighttime snack trap and why it's catching so many seniors off guard. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 7. 7. The nighttime snack trap. It's a quiet evening. You finish dinner, watch the evening news, and just before bed, you feel that familiar tug, a little hunger, a little habit. So you reach for something light, a small bowl of grapes, a few slices of watermelon, maybe some cantaloupe, or a handful of cherries. It feels innocent. It's fruit after all, not candy, not cookies. But what if I told you this bedtime snack, this one small moment of comfort, could be the very thing putting your brain in danger while you sleep? You see, the aging body no longer processes sugar the way it used to. After age 60, the body's glucose metabolism slows down. Blood sugar stays elevated longer. Insulin response becomes less efficient. And digestion, especially late in the evening, is sluggish. So when you eat high-sugar fruits late at night, like grapes, watermelon, pineapple, or ripe bananas, your blood sugar rises and stays elevated longer than it should. That excess sugar doesn't just sit there. It creates inflammation. It triggers stress hormones like cortisol. And, in the most dangerous cases, it contributes to the formation of blood clots in vulnerable, narrowed arteries. And here's what most seniors don't know. The hours between 2 o'clock a.m. and 6 o'clock a.m. are the most stroke-prone window of the day. That's when the body is at rest, blood pressure dips, and circulation patterns shift. If your blood vessels are already stiff, if your hydration is low, and if your blood sugar is erratic because of that late-night fruit snack, it creates the perfect storm. A clot can form, it can move, and in a moment, it can block oxygen to your brain. That's exactly what happened to Mr. Charles Dunham, age 80, a retired insurance agent from Colorado. Charles had never smoked, rarely drank, and walked every morning. But for years, he had a nightly ritual, a small bowl of grapes while reading before bed. His wife told me it relaxed him. He thought it was heart smart. One morning, Charles didn't wake up like he normally did. He was found slumped in his chair, his speech garbled, his right hand clenched tightly to the armrest. He had suffered a stroke overnight. At the hospital, we found elevated blood sugar levels, dehydration, and plaque buildup in his carotid artery. There was no trauma, no injury, only a clot that had silently formed and traveled to his brain. His wife wept as she told me, "He just liked grapes, that's all. We never thought it could hurt." But for seniors like Charles, the combination of sugar, nighttime inactivity, and vascular vulnerability is enough to tip the balance. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. Your body, your heart, and your brain don't need a sugar surge before bed. They need stability, hydration, and rest. Even a healthy fruit eaten at the wrong time can become a risk. So if you find yourself craving something sweet before bed, try something different. A few almonds, a slice of hard-boiled egg, a spoonful of plain Greek yogurt, something with protein or fat to stabilize your blood sugar, not spike it. Because in your golden years, there's no such thing as an innocent habit if it quietly increases your risk of a stroke while you sleep. Now, if that caught you off guard, I need you to brace yourself. Because while many seniors snack on fruit, others are unknowingly being misled by fruit-flavored foods, yogurts, cereals, puddings that carry none of the benefits and all of the risks. Let's talk about low fat fruit flavored products and the hidden dangers they bring to aging brains. 8. Beware of low fat fruit flavored products. It's hard to walk through an American grocery store without being bombarded by labels that scream heart healthy, low fat, or fruit flavored. You see them on yogurts, cereals, snack bars, and even pudding cups. And for older adults who are trying to make good choices, who've been told for decades to watch their cholesterol or cut down on fats, these products seem like safe bets. But here's the heartbreaking truth that no one is telling seniors. Many of these so-called healthy products are quietly harming your brain. The words fruit-flavored and low-fat have become deceptive weapons in food marketing. They create the illusion of wellness, but what's inside the packaging is often a dangerous cocktail of added sugars, artificial sweeteners, synthetic flavorings, and in some cases, chemical thickeners that confuse your body's natural hunger, hormone, and blood sugar systems. And when it comes to your brain, especially after age 60, those ingredients can do real damage. You see, when a product says low fat, it usually means the fat has been removed and replaced with something else to make it taste good. That something is often high fructose corn syrup or processed sugar alcohols. And fruit flavored? That rarely means actual fruit. Instead, it's often chemical flavoring mixed with dyes, with none of the fiber, nutrients, or antioxidants your brain needs. These products trigger sharp spikes in blood sugar followed by crashes, which strain the brain's delicate glucose balance. Over time, this up and down cycle contributes to insulin resistance, oxidative stress, and inflammation in small vessels, especially in the brain. This environment is ideal for atherosclerotic plaque to form, narrowing vessels, and increasing the likelihood of blood clots that can lead to stroke. Let me tell you about Ms. Lorraine Miller, age 77, a retired elementary school teacher from Illinois. Lorraine was cautious, thoughtful, and took pride in taking care of herself. She'd read that low-fat diets were good for the heart, so every morning she had a low-fat fruit yogurt with her breakfast, and in the evening, a bowl of fruit-flavored cereal with skim milk, believing she was doing her brain and heart a favor. But Lorraine started experiencing troubling symptoms: headaches, fatigue, short bursts of confusion. Her daughter noticed her balance was off. One afternoon, Lorraine suddenly slurred her words and couldn't grip her fork. She had experienced a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke caused by a brief blockage in blood flow to the brain. Her labs told the story: elevated triglycerides, high blood sugar despite no diagnosis of diabetes, and an MRI that showed early white matter damage, consistent with microvascular clot formation in the brain. The culprit? The constant drip of sugar and artificial ingredients in her daily health foods, spiking her blood sugar and silently damaging her vascular system. Lorraine was devastated. "I followed the rules," she said through tears. "I chose the healthy options, but no one ever told me those weren't really fruit." And that's exactly the problem. Older adults aren't getting the truth. They're following outdated advice, making choices based on marketing, not medicine. These low-fat, fruit-flavored foods do not nourish the brain. They destabilize it. So if you have those products in your fridge or pantry, check the labels. Look for grams of sugar. Look for dyes, thickeners, unpronounceable chemicals. And remember, real fruit doesn't come in a cup with a foil lid or a wild berry cereal box. Instead, opt for plain, full-fat Greek yogurt with a few fresh berries, or a handful of nuts, real food that your aging brain can recognize, digest, and use without inflammation or confusion. Because the truth is, your brain doesn't just need food, It needs honest fuel. And speaking of honesty, there's one fruit that's often recommended for heart health, praised for lowering cholesterol, and even sold in flush free form as a supplement. But for many seniors, this particular vitamin like compound can swing blood pressure dangerously, trigger palpitations, and even lead to stroke. Let's talk about niacin and why it might be the most misunderstood fruit based risk of all. 9. The one fruit that must be handled with care: grapefruit. It looks so innocent, bright, pink, refreshing. You've seen it in every heart-healthy breakfast photo, sitting beside a slice of wheat toast and a cup of black coffee. For decades, grapefruit has been promoted as a metabolism booster, a cholesterol-lowering aid, and even a cleansing food for seniors. But here's the shocking truth. Grapefruit, while natural and vitamin-rich, can silently turn into a serious threat, especially if you're taking medications. And if you're over 60, on any kind of regular prescription, blood pressure meds, cholesterol pills, blood thinners, anxiety medications, grapefruit may be the most dangerous fruit in your kitchen. Here's why. Grapefruit contains compounds known as furanocoumarins, which interfere with an enzyme in your liver called CYP3A4. This enzyme is crucial for metabolizing over half of the most commonly prescribed drugs in the United States. When grapefruit blocks this enzyme, it causes more of the medication to stay in your system longer, essentially turning a normal dose into a toxic one. And here's the most frightening part. You won't feel it happening. You won't taste the danger, but the longer the drugs accumulate, the more fragile your internal balance becomes. Over time, this buildup can thin your blood too much, lower your blood pressure suddenly, or cause irregular heart rhythms. And in the most serious cases, it can cause a blood clot to form, travel to the brain, and trigger a stroke, all while you think you're doing something healthy. I'll never forget Mr. Henry Walters, 75, a retired mail carrier from North Carolina. He was active, careful with his food, and proud of his morning routine: a half grapefruit every day with his oatmeal and heart medications. For years, it seemed harmless, even helpful. But then he started having strange symptoms: flushed skin, pounding in his chest, and one morning, sudden slurred speech and a facial droop. Henry had experienced a mild ischemic stroke, and when we reviewed his labs, the real picture came into focus. The blood thinner he'd been prescribed, perfectly safe in the right dose, had accumulated in his system over weeks, silently amplified by his daily grapefruit. His blood had become too thin to stabilize blood pressure. The result? A clot formed in a narrowed artery, likely caused by vascular instability, and made its way to his brain. Henry looked at me in disbelief and said, "Doctor, no one ever told me fruit could do this." And sadly, he's not alone. Most seniors aren't warned about food-drug interactions, even though their bodies are far more sensitive to them. They're given prescriptions but rarely told what not to eat. They're handed bottles of pills, with no real understanding of how something as simple as grapefruit or grapefruit juice can quietly create a deadly cocktail. The list of affected medications is long. Statins, like Lipitor, calcium channel blockers, like amlodipine, blood thinners, like Eliquis, benzodiazepines, like Xanax, and even some antidepressants. The interaction can last up to 72 hours after eating grapefruit, even if it's just half a fruit or a small glass of juice. If you're not sure whether grapefruit is safe with your medication, do not guess. Ask your pharmacist or your doctor. Don't rely on the label. Don't assume something natural means harmless. At this stage of life, precision is protection. Your brain, your heart, and your independence are too precious to gamble with. And if this realization leaves you asking, so what can I eat then? You're not alone. The goal isn't to fear food, it's to make smarter choices that nourish your body the way it is today, not the way it was 30 years ago. So now, let me show you a better way, one that doesn't involve powders, pills, or guesswork. Let's replace the risk with real protection. Let's talk about a smarter breakfast. Here's what a brain-safe meal actually looks like, and how it can start healing you, one bite at a time. 10. Smarter breakfast, a brain-safe meal that starts healing you. After hearing about all the hidden risks in seemingly healthy fruits and snacks, you might feel overwhelmed, even discouraged. You've spent a lifetime trying to do the right things, eating your fruits, following labels, staying away from obvious junk, and yet now you're learning that even the choices that felt safe or clean may be working against your brain, your heart, and your independence. But here's the truth that should give you hope. You don't need to rely on powders, supplements, or clever marketing to protect your brain. You simply need to feed it what it truly understands: real, whole, steady food that supports circulation, stabilizes blood sugar, lowers inflammation, and gently heals. And it all begins with breakfast. The first meal of your day doesn't just give you energy. It sets the tone for your blood vessels, your blood pressure, your focus, and even your emotional state for the next 12-16 hours. For older adults, this is especially important because by the time we reach our 60s, 70s, and beyond, our metabolism is slower, our hormones are less predictable, and our brain, the most delicate organ of all, requires predictable nourishment, not chaos. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Margaret Wilson, age 73, a retired school principal from Arizona. Margaret came to see me after she began feeling dizzy in the mornings. Her balance was off. Her thinking, once so sharp and methodical, felt cloudy. She wasn't sleeping well. Her blood pressure was fluctuating wildly, high one morning, low the next. She was scared, and rightfully so. She pulled out a drawer of supplements: vitamin D for bones, vitamin E for her heart, B complex for energy, niacin for cholesterol. On top of that, she ate a breakfast she thought was healthy: a fruit smoothie, some low-fat yogurt with granola, and a multigrain muffin. No one had told her that this combination, high in sugar, low in fat, and overloaded with synthetic nutrients, was sending her blood sugar and vascular system on a roller coaster ride every single day. Her blood work showed signs of oxidative stress, elevated inflammatory markers, and subtle vascular dysfunction. A carotid ultrasound revealed early plaque development. In her brain scans, we saw white matter changes, the kind that can precede small vessel disease, a leading cause of cognitive decline and stroke. And like so many others, Margaret's condition was worsened by a familiar culprit: unstable glucose, poor fat metabolism, and dietary choices that didn't match her aging physiology. But we didn't add more pills, we removed them. One by one, we replaced her synthetic support with a carefully structured, brain-safe breakfast, one designed to calm her system, feed her brain, and reduce her stroke risk with every bite. Here's what it looked like. One boiled egg, a clean source of complete protein, rich in choline to support memory and brain cell repair. Half an avocado, full of healthy monounsaturated fats that stabilize blood sugar and support vessel flexibility. One slice of whole grain toast, not white bread, not sugary granola, but complex carbs for steady energy. A small handful of blueberries, rich in polyphenols and antioxidants that reduce brain inflammation. A glass of room temperature filtered water, not coffee first thing, but hydration to support blood flow to the brain. No powders, no pills, no high fructose heart bars, just food, real, nourishing, age appropriate food. Within weeks, Margaret noticed her dizziness had faded, her energy stabilized, her blood pressure flattened out. She said to me during her follow up, I feel like I'm finally feeding my brain instead of chasing it. And that's the key. Your brain is not asking for miracles, it's asking for balance. It's asking for nutrients that come in their natural form, in the right amount, at the right time, not megadoses, not crash diets, but calm, rhythmic nourishment. Too often, I see seniors overwhelmed by fear, afraid of eating the wrong thing. So they default to what they've always done: cereal, toast, orange juice, maybe a supplement or two. But it's that very routine, once harmless in youth, that now needs to evolve because your brain and heart aren't the same. And that means your food can't be either. Your breakfast isn't just a habit, it's a message to your body. I'm still here and I want to stay. So take a moment, open your fridge, look at what's in there. Are you setting your brain up for clarity and strength or for confusion and clotting? Because here's the good news: the brain has an incredible capacity to recover, to repair damaged vessels, to form new neural connections, to reclaim function if you give it the right fuel. Now that you've walked with me through these hidden dangers and discovered the healing power of real, smart nutrition, there's only one more truth I need to leave you with. It's not the vitamins or fruits that define your future. It's what you understand about them and the courage to change what no longer serves you. Let me give you one final message. The lesson I wish every senior knew before it was too late. Final wake up call. It's not too late to protect your brain. If you've come this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for caring, for choosing awareness over convenience, for recognizing that protecting your health, especially your brain, is not just about surviving, but about living fully, independently, and with dignity. The truth is, many seniors suffer not from lack of effort, but from lack of the right information. You've been told for decades that fruit is always good, vitamins are always safe, and if it's low fat or natural, it must be helping. But now you know, the aging body plays by different rules. What once worked in your 40s may quietly work against you in your 70s. Your brain, your heart, your circulation, they're more sensitive now. The vessels are more fragile. The blood is more reactive. That's why even a simple glass of juice, a banana before bed, or a bowl of fruit-flavored yogurt can tip the balance from stability to danger. It forms blood clots. It disrupts your blood pressure. It silently lays the groundwork for stroke, often with no warning at all. And the most painful part, you don't even know it's happening until you can't speak clearly, or your arm won't lift, or your memory suddenly disappears. I've seen it again and again. Good people, smart people, kind people who were just doing what they were told, but they never got the full story. That's why I made this guide, not to scare you, but to arm you with the truth. Because here's the hope. And yes, there is hope. The body can recover. The brain can rebuild. The vessels can heal. But only if you stop repeating the habits that are hurting you. This is your wake-up call and your opportunity. No more guessing. No more falling for packaging or pills that promise too much. It's time to simplify, to get back to real food, real hydration, real movement, to eat what your brain recognizes: whole, steady, balanced meals, to question every supplement, every label, every habit you've had for years but never reevaluated. You are not too old to change. You are not too late to heal. I've seen patients in their 80s, like Mr. Charles, Mrs. Margaret, or Ms. Lorraine, take back control. I've seen tremors ease. I've seen blood pressure stabilize. I've seen minds clear up and energy return, not through gimmicks, not through pills, but through knowledge and courage. So let me leave you with this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. Start with your breakfast. Replace the risky fruits. Avoid juices. Ditch the low fat lies. Hydrate. Eat slow. Pair proteins with fiber. Respect your medications. Listen to your body, especially when it whispers. That whisper could save your life. This journey doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning. Because now you know what most people your age don't. And that makes you powerful. If this message moved you, if even one idea made you stop and think, share it with someone you love, a friend, a spouse, a neighbor at church. Because when it comes to stroke, brain fog, and memory loss, prevention is not about luck. It's about knowledge. And now you have it. Stay strong, stay curious, and never forget, you are the keeper of your mind, no one else. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.